Good morning, everyone, and welcome to VEDA Day 24. The topic for the day is, what was the last thing that made you smile? I think the last thing that made me really smile is, I was just watching a keynote of Scott Hanselman addressing a group of software developers in Australia, and so that keynote was full of lots of smile-worthy PowerPoint slides, which you might think is kind of ridiculous if you haven't seen Scott Hanselman presentation. I don't know. Are you all software developers? I mean, I don't know a lot about the demographic of my viewership, other than it's. I should do some polls. I like doing polls on the web. I'll have to do some polls and put them in there just so I can find out a little bit more about you all. But I think it's like sometimes it flirts with 25% female, which I don't know. I didn't think there were any. If you listen to 4chan, there are no girls on the internet, so I don't know how I got that stat. That was nice. Someone let me in. See, look, that made me smile right there. Try not to be too pushy. That's one of the things I was thinking of doing a vlog post on at some point, but I thought it might be a little boring. I've read a lot about traffic laws over the years, and because around the office and among friends and stuff, people will always have these comments about, the law says you need to do this, or someone will say, hey, why does Bill do this weird thing when he's driving? And he's like, oh, it's the law. And I understand some of this confusion because the law can be different in different places within the United States. There are state laws that generally govern how you drive, and so depending on what state you're in, there are little different nuances in the way that the law was made. Wow, traffic is really backed up. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm not going anywhere right now, really. But maybe it'll lighten up ahead. Anyway, I'm early today. So, there are all these nuances of the law, and the way you find them is you just you go, I wonder what the law is on jaywalking. Or someone says, the law is this, and then you go like, well, I wonder if that's true, and then you go read the law on it, and you find it. And, I think, there's one of these things I need to look up again, but I thought I read somewhere that's illegal in the state of Ohio to operate a vehicle while wearing headphones, which is something that I actually see all the time. I see people wearing earbuds and stuff while they're driving cars and while they're driving, or I just saw a guy riding a bicycle, and it was funny because he was riding a bike down the street, which is totally legal. In Ohio, riding a bike down the street, he's entitled by law. I mean, he's another vehicle. He could be a semi, and he's entitled to the full lane. And everyone else is supposed to drive as if he is a semi, giving him access to that full lane and, letting him, move around as needed. What if he sees some roadkill or a big pothole and needs to swerve around it? He needs to have room to do that, but people kind of give cyclists no quarter. So anyway, this guy was speeding past him in his, I didn't see if it was a guy or a woman, honestly. So a person, I assume it was a person, could have been a self-driving car, who knows? But the vehicle swerved past him, and I don't think it didn't look that close to me, but the cyclist seemed a little agitated by how close it was. And so as he's riding by with his headphones on, he's shaking his head oh, you shouldn't have done that. So I don't know, I want to look that up because I swear I saw that it's illegal to ride headphones on, and if that's the case, then it's kind of funny and awkward when someone who's breaking the law is upset at someone else for breaking the law. One of the things I was talking with a coworker the other day, we were talking about transit and stuff like that, and I was explaining that one of the fundamental problems I see with cars today, and something that I think will change in the future as cars become more computerized, but it's not something I really hear anyone talking about solving this problem, is that right now, the cars are all discrete units traveling together, and they they need a way to communicate with each other. So they actually do have a way to communicate with each other. They have lights, like brake lights, turn signals, and so if you want to communicate with other drivers, you can like blink the lights on and off. Not in a way like Morse code or anything that they could actually read or understand, just like a blinking light. It's kind of like having a computer, like one of those really old computers, or maybe a simple device like really simple computers. Sometimes they'll just blink at you when they're not working. I had a device the other day. It just started, like, it wasn't working, obviously, because it shut down. But then after it shut down, it just blinked, like all the lights on it just started blinking. So I contacted the manufacturer and I said, what does it mean when all the lights blink? Is that like a special code? Does that tell you what is wrong with it so that I can fix it? And he's like, no, all the lights blinking just means that it's broken. And so that's kind of what it's like when you drive. It's like if the turn signal light is blinking, it means that the car is probably going to go in the direction of the light that is blinking, or the person forgot to turn it off. If the light is, if all the turn signal lights are blinking, then it just means watch out. It could be because they're turning. It could be because they're not turning. It could be because they're going slow. I see cars that are, like, I was driving on vacation. There was a car that was doing 70 miles an hour in the left lane of the freeway. There was a 70 zone. It wasn't speeding. It wasn't going slow. It was driving completely normally, except for it had its four-way flashers on. I don't understand. Like, I guess in some places maybe people think that makes them like an emergency vehicle or something. Like maybe they thought they were going to a fire or delivering a pregnant lady to the hospital. But if that were the case, then I would think they might go faster. So it just didn't make any sense. But so yeah, you can blink your lights. You've got your brake lights, which means that braking is active. It doesn't tell you how much. Like I see on the Mustangs, they have this really cool tail light, and they've had it on a couple other cars. Mustang wasn't the first to do it, I don't think. But it's sequential, so it like blink, 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 blink. It kind of like moves over. But I think it'd be really cool to have brake lights that are kind of like on a graphic equalizer from an old stereo or something. So essentially, as you brake, the two lights come on, and then like the tail lights are segmented, and they're like level bars, and they get like there's more and more blocks filled up, and you would want to have like a standard number, like 4 or something, and then like so you could be driving along and it's like, oh yeah, the guy ahead of me, he's only blinking one, he's only braking like level 1 braking because it's only one light is blinking. It's like, whoa, I'm slowing down a little bit, I'm actively braking, but it's not much. Or then you could hit the brake harder, and you're like, oh my god, I was driving along and this guy, like, he was like level 4 braking, and then this person's just doing the old put on your turn signal and then go over regardless of what the rest of the world is doing. That's a perfect example. See, they're not using the turn signal to like indicate their intention and then check with everyone else to make sure what they're doing is safe. They're just like, I am going left. And it's like, well, that's great. I mean, it helped me, but another hint that they were going left is that they were like not tracking in their lane. Tracking is when if you're tracking well, you're between the lines. And generally, not just, that's like the baseline of, whether or not you're, tracking properly. Oh, that doesn't look good. A lot of traffic stopped ahead, so I'm going to get off one exit early. So yeah, they're like, you generally, like, if you're tracking well, you want to be driving down the center of your lane, and that just gives you a lot of buffer while still being within your lane. So anyway, so then you've got another way on a lot of vehicles. In Ohio, it's the law that it be functioning, and you need to have some kind of audible warning, like a horn on your car. I haven't seen a lot of people who have it. It's but you could probably have a steam whistle. That'd be really cool. They sound nice. So yeah, so they have an audible warning, but the problem with that is, if someone has their radio turned up or something, then you can't necessarily hear the whistle or the horn. And then emergency vehicles get to use sirens, which that's nice. It'd be annoying if everyone could use sirens, and it seems like everyone can use sirens. So yeah, one of the things I just think with automated cars and stuff, you're gonna, instead of that, you're gonna have like radio-based systems. So I mean, you'll probably still need some kind of indicators for people who, like for humans and animals, because they don't have radio receivers yet. But you'll have, like, every car will just constantly be telling all the other vehicles just what it's doing, just kind of like a status pulse, like, hey, I'm here, all my, my car's working all right. And it'll be like a really lightweight packet pulse, and it's just like, hey, I'm here, everything's working right. And then all of a sudden it can change, and it can add a little bit to the packet if there's a problem. So it can say like, oh, I'm driving on, I think I'm driving on this road, or I am driving on this road. I'm on, Interstate 71, and I'm doing 60 miles an hour, and oh crap, my right rear tire pressure just like dramatically decreased. It's like I think there's a problem, okay? And so, like right now, a driver would have to be like paying attention, and they'd be like, oh shoot, that guy just, he went a little squirrely, lost his tire pressure. I better like give him a wide berth and let him like get over to the side of the road. Well, like in a fraction of a second, like however frequently these pulses, thousands of times a second or something, you could have these pulses going out from every vehicle, and every vehicle could be listening. And it would, of course, contain information about their position relative to other vehicles, too. And so the vehicles would all get all this in together, and then they would process it in real time. And they would say, oh, like all the other vehicles near you would be like, oh no, there's a vehicle broken down. And then they could even relay it. So if there's like a big problem, like, oh, the road is blocked, then vehicles could relay it, even by way of other vehicles passing in the other direction. So like my vehicle could say, hey guys, back there was a disabled vehicle, and if you could pass that along to other vehicles behind me that are out of my radio range, that'd be great. And then the other vehicles back behind me, like let's say it gets towed out of the way, and then the other vehicles on my same route that are passing along behind me, they could go, oh no, it's clear, it's out of the way now, and then it would get relayed back up to my vehicle, and then my vehicle would be like, oh cool, I don't need to tell anyone else. So that's awesome. So yeah, that would be so much, like, that's so much better. Like right now you're like, hey, there's a cop ahead, blink your lights, just blink your headlights, and then that means there might be something up ahead, and like it doesn't tell you what. So one of the things I was going to do a video on is just, it doesn't seem that people realize that when you're driving and you're merging onto a major highway, at least in Ohio, and I'm pretty sure this is a federal standard thing. So let me know if this is not the way it is in your area. But there's this thing called a yield sign. It's a red triangle with a white triangle inside, and it says yield. And it's kind of like a stop sign, except it's you only have to stop if you really have to. It's the way people treat actual stop signs. In fact, if they wanted to just make it all hunky-dory, then they would actually make, there's like all these people driving. I don't understand. There must be some big event going on or something. I don't know. I haven't been down here this early in a while. Oh, they were all driving in the bicycle lane and in parking lanes and stuff. I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, so yeah, this yield thing, they really just should have them everywhere, or people should learn how to actually stop. That would be another good topic of a video, is like how to actually stop. Like, see, the light in front of me just turned red. Another car just blew past me, but the light turned yellow, and I could tell it was going to, because they've got one of those little countdown crosswalky things. So the crosswalk signal has a number countdown, and the countdown, when it gets to 0, the light turns yellow, and when it's yellow, it really means stop. Like it means stop as soon as you can. So if you can't stop, then I guess you can go through at your own risk, but with caution. But you're supposed to stop. So I stopped, and the other car just blew through. But anyway, these yield signs, every time like a ramp gets onto a freeway, they have a sign that says yield for whoever the slowest moving, or the traffic, the joining traffic, the merging traffic, has a yield sign. And what that means, that's a stop sign unless you don't have to stop. So it's it's something that I wish people would take that into consideration, because a lot of times when there's a merge on the freeway, so I came to my mind because I was merging onto the freeway and someone let me in, which they didn't have to do. It's my job to yield to all the freeway traffic until I see a gap where I can get on. But a lot of times people just kind of they do this thing where I drive a lot on cruise control, and I'll be driving, and they'll kind of merge. They'll merge, they'll match my speed, so they're right next to me, and then they'll just start coming over, they can see me, they're looking at me, and a couple of times they just keep coming over, so that's weird. But most of the time they do that, and they see if you're gonna disengage cruise control or something, and then they drop in behind you. There's usually, when this happens, there's a huge gap behind me, like a mile or something. I like to drive in big gaps in traffic. Everyone else, they seem to to tailgate everyone, which that doesn't make any sense, because if you're driving, if you're tailgating, to me that says that you're upset that you're not in front of the pack, and you don't really get in front of the pack by doing that. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there are these big packs that travel on the freeway. They're big globs of cars, but in between there are no cars most of the time. In rush hour it's a little bit different, but generally there are these the traffic moves in waves and pulses, and so it's weird to me, because I don't like being at the back of the pack either. So I just hang back, and I just kind of drive in between the two big packs, and then I'm all by myself driving down the road. Oh wow, a huge truck is going forward and backward across the street. But you know what? He's a professional truck driver, so I'm sure he'll have this situation sorted out momentarily. Look at that. He's a pro. He backed up, and he's out of my way now. And I didn't even have to honk or get mad or anything, because he's a professional. So, I'm driving on a cobblestone street again. It's neat, there are trolley tracks down the street. I think I mentioned them before. So I think that's kind of cool. There are no trolleys. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think it's kind of a novel thing here, is that there are trolley tracks down the street and we don't have trolleys anymore. But, just pulled into work. So anyway, there was another topic I can talk about, is jaywalking. Jaywalking is really crazy, the laws in my city. Pretty much everything you do is jaywalking, except for when there are two specific instances of where you're not jaywalking. So anyway, maybe I'll talk about some of those nuances. Maybe I'll get my phone out and I'll show you in a crosswalk what is jaywalking. I won't jaywalk probably, but maybe I'll film some other people jaywalking. They'd probably like that. One time I was walking around City Hall, and I saw Columbus's Mayor Michael Coleman jaywalking, and I was so mad I didn't get my cell phone, because he was right in front of City Hall. It would have been a great backdrop. It was Mayor Coleman jaywalking right in front of City Hall, and I'm sure he does it every day. So if I just did, if I had a ton of free time, maybe on my day off sometime, if I know he's in town, I'll just go sit there in front of City Hall, and I'll wait for him to get done for the day. I don't know, maybe I had to, it was early, because see, you have to get down. I was going down there for a city council meeting, and you have to get there early, because they start at I think they start at 5. So to me the work day is 8 to 5 or 8:30 to 5:30. So I if I want to leave at 5 today, I'm gonna have to go inside shortly here. But yeah, so that's like the end of the workday is like 5, and this was like I had actually gotten off work early so I could go to the council meeting. So he was leaving like maybe 4:30 or 4 or something, somewhere in that range, 4 to 4:30 probably, and jaywalking while he was doing it. So, but anyway, yeah, I just don't. I think that I think people should understand the laws so that they can follow them very carefully to see if they actually work. And if when you're following them very carefully, they don't work, or in the case of many laws, they're just downright stupid. Like it's like if everyone followed the law exactly, it would be a really big problem. Then one should advocate very seriously and aggressively to get the law changed, for the reason that when you tried it and a bunch of other people tried it, it worked very badly for everyone involved. And lawmakers should always change laws that have that kind of mass behind them. So, it's an interesting thing. And, I honestly, since so many people are lawless in our society, I kind of see it as a form of civil disobedience to try to obey the law as strictly as you can. And it's amazing. I actually got, one time I was driving, it was like Thanksgiving Eve, and I was driving back from my friend's house, and because we'd gone to do something, but it was closed because it was Thanksgiving Eve. It closed early, so we like scrapped our plans. I dropped him off at home, and then I just started driving home, and a Columbus police van, a paddy wagon, they pulled out behind me. They had 2 officers inside, and they followed me they say that you can't drive a mile without breaking a traffic law, but they followed me for 2 miles, and I knew they'd run my tag. And so right when I put on my turn signal to start turning into my neighborhood, so if they ran my tag, meaning to type in my license plate number and get all of my driver's license information so that they can read it in the cruiser. So they had 2 miles to skim that info. They would have known exactly where I was going. So I went and I put on my turn signal to turn into my neighborhood, and that's immediately when they turned on their lights. So I pulled over, and I'm like, so why did you pull me over? And they said, oh, this is after following me for 2 miles and not having any reason to pull me over. They said, we thought your vehicle was stolen. Yeah, that was it. They thought my vehicle was stolen. Which, it was like, if they ran my tag, which they apparently did. See, there's a little bit more to this story, is I have a concealed firearm license. And so in the old days, about when this happened, they would run a tag and it would show a warning indication. They've taken this away because there's no reason to have a warning indication just because someone has a license. But anyway, they have a warning indication. Well, and also if someone goes and gets a license, then, that's someone that is already, they care enough about the law to go and get a license. So you probably don't have a lot of concerns with them. So anyway, yeah, they saw that, and then they wanted to stop and just check and see how it was going. But they didn't say that. They said that they thought they were just doing their job, just, thought they saw a car that was stolen for no reason, and then thought that they would waste my time. But yeah, it was kind of interesting. And if they'd pulled my info, they would have seen my picture as well. So then, and they would have been able to see that I was the one in the picture from all the records they pulled up. And they didn't actually like take my license back to the patrol car. Like, they didn't verify that the vehicle wasn't stolen. They just like talked to me like at the window. They stopped me and then they talked to me for a minute. And they were also, that was another angle of it. Because it was the night before Thanksgiving, they thought people would be drunk driving. And so by talking to me, they could like tell that there was no alcohol odor in the car or anything. And the thing is, if you have a concealed firearms license and you're carrying a firearm in Ohio and you're drinking alcohol, it's not like I only had 1 beer. It's like just anything like that, like any amount of alcohol in your system, then it's a felony. So they saw they had a chance to like try and arrest me on a felony. Just some random guy driving by is like, ooh, it's Thanksgiving Eve. Maybe he's drunk. Maybe he's not following the law properly. So anyway, I get a kick out of following the law because, like, I mean, everyone else, I hear all these people like, oh, I was driving, I saw a cop, and I freaked out. You know, it's like, I don't freak out when I see cops because I just, like, I know that they have no basis. So, and then if I ever do get stopped by one, it's kind of like my attitude is one of curiosity. Like, that's interesting, considering that I'm a person who, well, I mean, I have attorney friends that, you know, I was just at lunch with a couple of attorney friends, and they were like, wow, like, I don't know anyone who tries as hard as you do to follow all the laws. And so I think from attorneys, that's pretty great to hear. I would love to have them now, you know, if I ever do get hauled before a jury or something, I would love to bring in all the attorneys that were at that table and have them all testify that, wow, man, yeah, that Mark, he looks up the law and then he tries to follow it as best he can. You know, that would just be a really interesting court case, I think. So, but anyway, yeah, we were talking about what makes me smile. You know what? Trying to follow the law and then finding out that the law is you can't follow it. That actually makes me smile because I like it when I find problems that people can work together to solve. But the thing that actually makes me smile the most is I've found, and I think it's hilarious, and I wonder what, I mean, it seems to me the evolutionary reasons for this are obvious, but sometimes I'll just be sitting there with my young children, and for no apparent reason, they'll think something I did was silly or whatever. and they'll just start laughing. See, it even makes me laugh just thinking about it. And they'll just laugh. And then I laugh because I think their laughing is funny. And then they think it's funny that I'm laughing. So there we are, just like, I'm standing there just holding this baby, and we're just like laughing at each other like two idiots. And I just, that's just the funniest thing of all. So, like, that makes me smile more than any comedian or any cool technical presentation like Scott Hanselman's that was entertaining and educational and funny. And, you know, for non-technical people, I was kind of asking about if you're technical people, and I was talking about doing a poll. But if you're non-technical, go do a search for Scott Hanselman, and he has these videos about how to use like Word and Excel, and watch those. And then there's also one about how to use Windows 8, which hopefully you're all upgraded to Windows 10 by now because it's been out over a year, and it really is faster and better than like Windows 7 and Windows 8 and Windows Vista and all that, and even Windows XP. Yes, much better than XP. But anyway, if you go check out some of his videos, he has one about how to use Windows 8. It's like the missing manual or something like that. But anyway, those are like 3 videos that are his that I think anyone would really enjoy. And you know, I think, you know, I think people should watch some of his stuff because he's a really entertaining speaker. Once again, that thread comes up. I really do like effective communicators. Well, I don't know. I didn't really know what I was going to vlog about today, and I was preoccupied. Last night I did a whole. It was kind of a weird day for my vlog yesterday, and I didn't get to do it in the car. I started to do it in the car, and it fell apart. I wanted to do it right, and then I took a bunch of takes and stuff, and I tried to do it right, and I didn't end up. Yeah, it's going to take a lot of editing, and I still haven't edited yet. Last night I was tired, so I just went to sleep. So anyway, yeah, it's probably going to be a little late, the vlog for today, because this is going to be the vlog for tomorrow. But anyway, it was nice talking to you again, and I had some fun interactions with people, you know, in the comments of their videos yesterday. Not so much my videos. We talked about some interesting things. I shared kind of a dad joke about dentistry. That was amusing. The joke was, when is it time to go to the dentist? Or what is the best time to go to the dentist? And I'll give you a second here. Okay, 2:30. Do you get it? So, yeah. I'll let you think about that a little bit. Anyway, if you liked the rest of the video aside from that joke, please use the like button. And then, of course, we talked about commenting. And then please subscribe if you'd like to go on more morning car rides with me and see my adventures throughout the day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.